And now, I think pretty much every really important memory has that song in it. When I was 8, I remember we went to a block party at Dan and Cindy Butts' house. I know, weird last name. They had this huge backyard with a seesaw right in the middle. I remember there were probably 15 or 20 kids around my age there. Ben Piper was there. He had been my best friend since kindergarten. This would be the night that our friendship ended. You see, Ben was always really fat. He was about 4 feet tall, 200 pounds. Everyone in Miss Taft's second grade class used to call him the beach ball. Well, anyway, we were sitting on the seesaw, rocking back and forth, and he got distracted by someone throwing a frisbee or something. Anyway, the impact of him jumping off threw me onto the ground, where I landed on my right wrist. Having already had some personal wrist trauma after falling off of Jamie and Mackie Glashow's fence the year before, well, I wasn't too excited about this. The only difference was that when I fell off the fence, I got a hairline fracture in my left wrist. And I'm left-handed, so that means that I didn't have to go to school for 3 weeks. Anyway, I remember that I started crying like any 8-year-old would, and I ran to tell my mother that we needed to go to Hasbro Hospital because my wrist was definitely broken this time. Well, since I've always had a bit of a flair for dramatics, she looked at me and said, "No." And I said, "Mom, no, this is really important. We have to go this time." And she said, "Okay, fine." So we got in the car, and we took my friend Luke home first. And my mom went inside for 20 minutes to have a conversation with his mother, Kathleen. By the way, Kathleen is a major whore nowadays, and she'd hop into bed with anybody because of her insecurity after getting dumped out of a 20-year marriage and having to move out of her beautiful 3-story house into this tiny apartment in downtown Providence. So we went to the little emergency and they told us that we had to go to Hasbro Hospital because indeed my wrist was broken. 3 x-rays, a red cast, and 8 weeks later, I found myself back at Hasbro Hospital. Get that damn thing off. Well, because I only have 2 kinds of luck, bad and none, it turns out that another bone had actually been broken in my wrist, and the only way to fix it was to put me under this thing called anesthesia and re-break both bones and then rewrap the cast for another 8 weeks. Great. And I remember sitting in the operating room, waiting and waiting for 3 hours. And I could see through the window about 15 or 20 kids my age, all of them really sick, most of them disgusting, very few of them speaking English. And I remember crying because my mother couldn't go in with me. And I remember laying there, breathing it in, and the last thing that I heard before I fell asleep was a blonde nurse in a pink shirt. She was slowly rubbing my arm, and she started singing. Where troubles melt like lemon drops, away above the chimney top. 3 hours later, I woke up in the recovery room. The bone resetting had been successful. I thank the song. Over the Rainbow was also a frequent request whenever I went to visit my family in California. To this day, they all say that they'll never be able to listen to that song without thinking of me. I think the most important family memory I have is when my grandpa was dying. He had Alzheimer's and prostate cancer all at once. Not the best combo. And I remember my mother saying, "He's gonna be fine, he's gonna be fine, he'll be fine." And he was. And then he went to get a checkup one day, and they gave him some pill that made him really woozy. He never came out of it. I remember hearing my grandmother screaming on the phone, "There's not much time left, there's not much time left, you have to get out here right away, as soon as you can." And I remember the next day flying in California. When I was looking at him in the hospital, I didn't feel anything. I had never experienced a death in the